Our journey begins. It is day 103, September 11, 2024. And again, I did, just a check-in on the thinking that I did. I did a pretty lengthy recording session, really thinking through how to tie in this new OCC project with the overall movement coordination mechanisms and everything like that. And because I've been pretty recently like, this OCC project is one that makes sense because it will be like an intermediate step, which will be helping a lot of people, but also will allow to start for being that coordinating mechanism. But then I realized that, am I saying that? I basically talked through it all, thinking through like, okay, do I want to go all in and just do that thing where I'm starting? And is that going to be like an applied membership thing where like you have to do certain things to like stay involved? Do you have to sort of believe in the methodology or the philosophy in order to participate? And so that was definitely one divide of like, do you have to believe in the philosophy and the methodology in order to use the mechanism? And that's when I realized not necessarily. Like, you don't, if you have like if you're trying to solve some problem and you help people to solve that problem by offering some tool that makes solving that problem really straightforward, then people using that problem to fix, then people using that solution to help solve that problem, they don't have to believe any sort of methodology. They just know that they want to solve that problem. And so they work towards doing that and they use the tool and the mechanism to make that happen. And so, and if that's the only real thing that that tool is useful for, then you don't really need any sort of membership or like, hey, any sort of like, do you understand the philosophy behind this? Like eventually we could, and so anyway, I think that's what it's going to end up being, is that I'm going to have the OCC project is going to be part of the overall coordinating mechanism that I'm going to be building out. And I'm going to make the product essentially like that coordinating mechanism so good that people use it out of wanting to make their lives better and to make the world better. And then it will eventually we can bring in like the philosophy behind it. Of course, I still think that I'll have like the values and all of that in like the about us section of the website, essentially, of like, here's the philosophy behind what we're thinking through. But in reality, you don't have to believe in the philosophy. If you want to make your life better by eating healthier or by working out more or learning to cook or something, then you can do that. And this will be a really, really, probably mostly completely free, if not very inexpensive, and like no membership needed type of thing. Like, I think that's important. So it's sort of like, to use Google search, you don't really need a membership. You just use the tool because it's there and it's really useful. Now, for something like Instagram, you do need like a login, which I think you'd still need a login for this, but like you don't necessarily need to like pay money to be part of Instagram or Google. It's just there, it's free to use, and because it's so useful, people end up using it for free, and then from there you can go into additional products, or essentially that's thinking about it from the business and from that analogy. But in reality, in my case, it would be so useful that eventually, as people become their best selves, they eventually want to help the world. And so that's how you can help make that transition possible. And there are a lot of people that want to make their lives the best things possible, but there aren't really all the tools out there to make that happen necessarily. So hopefully I can start working toward building that. And so that there doesn't really have to be one main thing. I think that's what I was thinking through the last couple days, is like, what's the one main thing that people have to do? Really, there has to be a whole holistic set of solutions that this coordinating mechanism, machine, tool, living organism allows people to accomplish. And then from there, it will self-evolve into becoming this thing that's super useful and that people will start to associate themselves with. But they don't need to associate themselves with this in the beginning. So that's been what I've been thinking through a lot. And so I feel like it's going to take a long, long time to build that. but I never want to compromise. I never want to compromise, and there was a little bit of a feeling of compromising on the main movement in order to do this other project, because I just need to do this other project so I can keep moving with life. But in reality, sometimes, or like in the long run, no compromises ever. And obviously, sometimes you have to make compromises, so that's not necessarily a good quote, but in general, I found that it's better not to compromise on, especially to yourself. To be true to yourself is always important, I think. But it's always hard to say something like always, but anyway, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.